What's good, YouTube? This is ZDogYGO here, back again with another deck profile. I managed to get first place at locals this weekend, and I did that with one of my pet decks, actually. This is ABC Adventure Therion. This is a deck that I've held near and dear to my heart for a while. I've been playing ABC ever since I first started playing the game, and this was always one of my favorite decks, and it was a lot of fun. It brought me a lot of joy to take this deck to locals and actually do really well with it. So we're going to get into the deck profile here. Starting off with our pieces, we are on 2A, 3B, and then 2C, as well as one Union Driver. So this is the standard ratio, especially for newer ABC builds. You don't really want to see pieces a lot of times in your hands, especially multiple pieces. Usually you want to see one piece plus a hanger and go about your day. Then Union Driver is kind of like the only hard garnet of the deck. If you draw this, kind of makes it a little bit awkward to combo, but with some of the new cards that we've received so far, that's not as much of a problem anymore. But for anyone that doesn't know what these do, all the pieces are non-once per turn. They all have different effects when they're sent from the field to the graveyard. So A can add back a Union monster, can add back any Union monster other than itself. B can add a Union monster from deck to hand, and then C can special one from your hand. And like I said, none of these are once per turn, and so you can do a lot of looping and a lot of advantage resource gaining with all of these pieces. But this is the ratio that I decided to play. Like I said, just with some of the new support and a lot of the new consistency cards that we have over the years, there's no need to play anything more than this. Speaking of new cards, one that just came out not too long ago, we are playing 3 Revolution Synchron. So this really opens up a lot of the advantage engines in this deck, because this gets you access to things like Ancient Fairy Dragon, gets you access to Visas Amritara, and just provides a lot of advantage for this deck. And also just being a machine as well in order to go into a lot of different things. This card just does so much for this deck. Honestly, one of the greatest pieces of support we've received in years. As well, we are playing 1 Regulus. Like I said, with the new stuff, you cycle through field spells so consistently and so often that you really don't need to play multiples of this, especially with some of the other engines in this deck. I really wanted to keep this at or as close to 40 cards as possible, so I only had room for the 1 Regulus. If you decide to play 2 Regulus, it's not bad, because this is really basically an extender as well as an Omni Negate, because the piece that you equip to this, you can actually use its effect to special summon it. So you get basically 2 monsters for 1. As well as monsters, we are playing the Adventure Engine, so 3 Water Enchantress and the 1 Griffin Rider. I love this engine so much in ABC. Provide you so much value, also being able to discard your pieces, providing more bodies for future turns or follow-up, and also just the Adventure Engine is super good going second, with things like Dracoback to help push through certain pesky boards or floodgates, as well as Griffin just being an Omni Negate to really be able to get your plays in there and force out a lot of things from your opponent. And that's all the monsters. On to kind of the heart and soul of the deck. We're playing 3 Union Hanger. I still think this is probably the greatest field spell ever created. You can't change my mind. Pearl Rhino comes close, but this one still holds a really close spot in my heart. So on activation, adds any light machine Union monster. And then when a light Union machine is normal or special summoned to the field, you can target that monster and equip a Union monster from deck that can be equipped to it. So the play that you do, what it used to be was you normal summoned a gadget, summoned your piece, and then equipped another piece onto it from your deck. But now with things like Union Driver, because this has a condition that the monster you equip with this effect cannot special summon itself or use its effect to special. And so the way Union Driver gets around that is you equip the driver to the monster, and then you can banish the driver and then equip another piece, and now you've gotten around the Union Hanger clause. So now you don't have to play the unnecessary cards like the gadgets anymore, or just other level 4 extenders to continue your plays. And this card just on its own just does so much. It's a 1 card platinum gadget plus IP, which can go into things like Unicorn, can go into SP Little Knight, or it can just make a 2 or 3 mana Appaloosa for free. So this card is still just does so much work. The other field spell we are playing is the 2 Disc Coliseum. So, like I said, with this deck, your main goal is really just Ancient Fairy Dragon Turbo. So you want to make sure that you have a steady supply of field spells, and you always want to make sure that if you do draw one of your field spells, you always have another one to search with the Ancient Fairy Dragon. And then this card actually still does come up quite a bit whenever you battle something and your Regulus is in graveyard. It's just an infinite way to recycle Regulus and keep being able to summon it back and continue to put pressure on your opponent. So that's why you're playing the 2 Disc Coliseum and not the 2 Regulus. And as well, to help search our field spells, we are playing the 1 Terraforming and the 1 Set Rotation. Again, they're at 1 for a reason. Field spells are just one of the greatest cards ever printed, and just with so much different field spells that we have, really does a lot. And then just some consistency cards. Obviously, 3 Pot of Prosperity. If you can afford to play it in your deck, you probably should be playing it. Just being able to see an additional 6 cards to your hand and really deciding what you need. As well as 1 Tuning to help get into your Revolution Synchron if you don't draw it, but you draw Tuning. This is also really good because it sends a card from the top of your deck. I cannot tell you how many times I got really lucky and I hit Water Enchantress with this card, so this card just does so much in this deck. Really nice to have. And then for the rest of the Adventure Engine, we're on obviously 3 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Fateful, 1 Dracoback, and then 1 Foolish Burial. Like I said, the name of the game for this deck is consistency. You want to be able to see as many parts of your deck as possible. So, and especially with the Adventure Engine just being such a good discard outlet, you want to make sure that you get to it as much as possible. So that's why we're also playing the Foolish. Foolish can also come up to send an additional piece to the graveyard if you need it. So if you get hit with things like a Bestial or DD Crow, you can activate the Foolish and send the piece that they just banished. So that's pretty nice. And then for the rest of the spells, I didn't want to play hand traps in the deck because Buster requires a discard. And so I wanted to play power spells that didn't play into Triple Tactics Thrust. So we are playing 3 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Called by the Grave, and then 3 Forbidden Droplet. Especially cards like Droplet are really good again now that Rise Heart is gone. And Droplet in this deck, it just does so much work because you can send your spent adventure stuff. You can send additional pieces that you don't need to break boards, and just being able to send spent field spells as well. This card just gives so much value in this deck. And then obviously Called By and Triple Tactics are also really good. If we're in a monster or a hand trap heavy format, you really want to play Triple Tack in your deck. And then the last card I'm playing is the 1 Reframing. So you can decide on your level 8 can either be the Monadium Armatara, or it can be the Crystal Wing. I currently actually don't own a Crystal Wing for some reason, so I'm currently playing the Armatara. And if you're playing Armatara, obviously you play this. You can argue to play the Eulogy, the new quick play spell in this deck, because it does do more going second, but I'm still liking the Reframing in the main deck, just because you have already so many going second cards that you can afford to play a card that really is only good going first. And that's the main deck. It is 41 cards. Like I said, I wanted to keep it as close to 40 as possible just to keep it as consistent as I can. Onto the extra, we are playing 2 Buster. I wish I had room for the third, but there's no way. The extra deck is just way too tight. There is not enough spaces available to play the third, so just two for now. It sucks when one of them gets ripped by a unicorn and then you only have one to go into, so you gotta kind of be careful with your resources. But usually with this deck, sometimes your zones get so locked that you don't even get to the buster. So synchro wise, we are playing the one Black Rose for going second. Obviously, one of the best synchros in the game, Ancient Fairy, and then we are playing the Visas Amatara. Like I said, if you have a Crystal Wing, I would really recommend playing the Crystal Wing. This is really good because it plays around Dark Ruler going second, so that's kind of nice. But like I said, Crystal Wing a lot of times for me just kind of came up more, but I just don't have one right now. We are playing only one Xyz, and that's the Dweller. This is just for tier. You end up having a lot of rank level 4s on your board with the pieces. So a lot of times you can make this pretty easily with a full board of like Armitara, Regulus, and the adventure stuff, and just back this up with like 3 or 4 negates. And usually like tier can't play through a Dweller and 2 or 3 negates. So this card is just really good, but it's only really good for that matchup. And then the links, we are playing one Platinum Gadget. This is just to help you extend. One Lina for going second and trying to break boards. Just kind of there to be there. One Barricade Board Blocker. This used to be I can't remember what this used to be. But this is kind of really the only flex spot that you have in the deck. You don't really have a lot of other things that you can play. Oh, this was never mind. I remember what this was now. This used to be the Bujin Link 2, the Ahashima, but I just found myself never going into it, especially because I only played one Xyz monster, and so I wanted this just more for the utility and also being able to add back things like Fateful Adventure that I sent with a droplet, or my spent field spells that I sent with droplet as well. This card just comes up quite a bit. 1 IP, 1 SP. You have to play this. You have to play these cards. If your deck can make spare bodies, you should be playing this at all costs. This engine just does so much. This guy is just literally 2 interruptions for free. We are playing the Nightmares, so we are playing 1 unicorn, or 1 Phoenix and 1 unicorn. Still just really good to help push for games. And also, if you need something spun back to the deck instead of banishing, IP can go into this. This is just really good to clear up floodgates. And like I said, this spins cards back to the deck, so just comes up for certain matchups or certain scenarios. And then the last 2 Link 4s is the 1 Appaloosa and the 1 Access Code Talker. This is usually still one of your bridges for IP, especially with Buster, because you can go Chainlink 1 IP to Link Summon, and then Chainlink 2 Buster to tag out into your 3 pieces. So usually IP can either be the SP Little Knight or just a free format Appaloosa that gets you more advantage. And then Access Code still just clears games by itself. This plus a Buster is always going to be usually 8,300 points of damage. So that's always going to be enough for game. And then side deck wise, I kind of just tried to keep it as simple as possible. I just wanted to play a bunch of board breakers. So the only hand trap we're playing is the 3 Nibiru. This does play into triple tactics thrust a little bit, but this card just is sometimes just so impactful that it just wins games on its own. We are playing the 1 thrust and then all the targets for it. 1 Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 3 Dark Ruler, as well as double D Barrier. So you just have a lot of options to decide on what you want to bring in. Maybe you want to cut one of the Dark Rulers to maybe try and fit in a one of the Abyss cards to help with my Pearly matchup, but this has been what was working for me so far, and I'm going to really just continue to work with this until I have problems. But and then the last 3 cards of the side deck are just 3 Judgment to help you go first. Because usually, even if you brick and you have a judgment and the fateful event or the adventure engine, usually that's enough to stop your opponent and hopefully get you to the next turn. The whole thing behind this deck is if you can get to the next turn, you're probably going to win almost every time. But that is my deck profile. Like I said, I went undefeated at locals with this deck, and this is just, such a fun deck to me. Like I said, this is really what got me into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And so I really hope that I have inspired some of you to maybe look at some of your pet decks again and hopefully give them a try, because you never know how they're going to do. But that is all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And yeah, peace out, YouTube.